So, what is the word participatory? Well, by definition, participatory is something that, well, we all participate in. But specifically, participatory design is really about the community being a part of this huge process of a design, but also be more specific, architecture. So architecture has a huge role in society these days, and it's no doubt participatory design is one of the most biggest factor on how we as practitioners become more engaged in this field. So participatory design really involves anyone. It could be social media, it could be your employees, it could be civilians, it can be anyone, even the homeless can be participatory design. This whole idea of participatory architecture is really something that we should all be embracing, and something that designers should be aiming for in the future practices. So David Chipperfield back in 2012 curated an architectural exhibition. It was really about, to him, common ground. And I can't explain this any further and better than him, but here's a video.
Clearly, its origins were physical. There must have been, that's my ground, that's your ground, this is common ground. And so, in the context of an architectural biennale, that reference back to the physical is quite clear. So why I like this title is that it talks about intellectual, common ground as we use it. In other words, what ideas do we share? Where can we meet?
The theme is really about looking outwards to the rest of the world for inspiration, for new ideas that could change the way that we make buildings in the UK. We felt that it would be interesting to sort of reverse the process of a national pavilion. So instead of showcasing British architecture, we use the opportunity of the Biennale to bring back new ideas to the UK. There are 10 practices, 10 architectural teams involved in Venice Takeaway, and out of that come 10 proposals.
So from that video, common ground is really defining what the architect can bring into the table. What can they provide to the conversation, pretty much. So let's dive into an example in 2012 Biennale, where there was a project called Grands and Ensembles, and this really looked at France in general. And it was really about collaboration of all these architects in one room discussing about the situation in France. So at the moment, the situation in France, like, urbanization is finished. It's done deal. Everything's okay in terms of development. But in terms of the problems of urbanization, there still are problems with space for the community. And so these people, bands and ensembles, really looked at transforming these spaces rather than repairing them. In terms of that, they created Passage 56. The whole concept was for the community to look after this place, to maintain this place. So they said, hey, we're going to give you this architecture design by you guys, but the catch is that you guys have to maintain it. So they looked at a town with a population of 3,000 to 4,000 Europeans. The whole idea was to manipulate all this area to push out the community and see what they can do with it. They responded to really that action where people came in and really tweaked these models. They really responded with what they wanted, what was the people's needs. It worked perfectly because A, it was a community space, B, it was what they wanted, and C, it's what they transformed.
So the project that we're presenting here, it's called The Magnet and the Bomb, and it makes reference to these double conditions of cities, of being magnets to knowledge, people, opportunities, development and wealth in the end, but simultaneously being places that, if not well managed, accumulate social pressure as if it was a social time bomb. And the documentary is projected on top of it all the coordination that was required, all the swallowing of bureaucracy, of constraints, how the participatory process was, which is not an easy thing.
instead of just judging the object, understand the process, understand the constraint. If we do that as practitioners, as decision makers, or as the public, we may have a better understanding of the complexity of the issue and also what we could expect and demand from architecture.